Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Teacher on the Go. And today, I want to welcome you. I know that you all have very busy schedules, and that's why I have created this platform, especially for you, so you have the opportunity to watch now because you couldn't join us here, or you'll be watching it later in the comfort of your pajamas, maybe. Who knows? But today, I have to tell you, I am with two wonderful teachers. My host teachers today are Clara, Arcadia, and Irene Velazquez. And they are both sixth grade teachers at Hurley Elementary. And thank you guys for allowing me to be here.
You're welcome.
Opening the classroom doors.
Always a pleasure to see you.
Yes. So I definitely wanted to bring everybody into your classroom because I know for a couple of reasons. Number one, you both plan together. They're both sixth grade teachers and they work like this.
Daily.
Mm-hmm.
Daily.
And the other is that the idea of how they really incorporate scaffolding, the visuals that they're using, and because they do have English learners, and not just English, you have all types of learners. So I'll let them do a little bit of talking right now. Let them tell you who they are and who they serve.
So I'm Clara, Arcadia, and we're both on the sixth grade team, and this is Irene's first year.
Hi, my first year.
It's been amazing. Our planning, really, it's just like a talking session, and we're just building on each other, and I really like how we collaborate. We're just we start one thought, and she'll finish my sentence, and so, I'll say, let's do this, and she's already researching, so, in the sense of planning, it's...
And for me, because this is although I have been teaching for many years, this is my first year in sixth grade. So when I came into sixth grade, I was like, oh my God, I have such a great partner. And the fact that she's like my mentor, so she's helping me through all this, we do build on each other's learning. And Clara's really great because she has awesome ideas. And then I'll just take a different avenue, and then she'll give me a little topic or an idea. And then I'll go and do some research, and we just find these different ideas to do work to help the kids.
Perfect, because now we can actually have a conversation around how, number one, how does collaboration look in different places, in different classrooms with different teachers? The idea that you've been in sixth grade for how many years now? It's been
6, 7.
And this being your first year as a sixth grade teacher. And I know that you all have a large class, right, of sixth graders. And then one of the things, of course, is they're busy teachers. They're ridiculously busy teachers, and they find, I don't know, we're going to find out how do they plan. And so how do you find the time? Well, first, tell us a little bit about the culture of your classroom.
So I have 31 students, and our ranges from ELLs and R-FEPs and long-term learners, and I actually just got one new student from Nicaragua.
A newcomer.
Yeah.
And in my class, I have 34 students, and same thing, ranging from R-FEPs, EOs, long learners, long-range English language learners. I have levels 2s and 3s, so it's a vast, vast difference in language.
So since there's only 2 of us for ELD, I have the R-FEPs and the strong level 3s, the ones that are almost there, but I do use the R-FEPs as role models and modeling that language. We're constantly doing flip grid. We're doing a lot of conversation so that they get more comfortable.
So Claire's really referencing to your designated ELD time. And that's another way of how do you get together and manage how you place students. And as she was saying, her R-FEP, yesterday I brought up the idea that we have all types of English learners, and the misconception that R-FEP students who are reclassified aren't ELs is not the truth. No. They still need your support.
Maintain.
They were able to pass the CELT at some time, and now they're going to have to, it's the LPAC. But you definitely have to keep supporting them and including those strategies that, especially the first 2-3 years,
So they're on watch.
Right. And so exactly. They're on watch. And so,
and I tell them, even as you, because I'll be going probably to Giano, even as you go, the watch is going to be, still intact, and you have to keep it up.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And for me, I do the lower level of ELD. So I have the ranges from levels 1 to the low level, the not as strong level 3s. And for me, I have to do a lot of scaffolding for them, as well as in my homeroom class where we have all the levels. Even those R-FEPs still need that scaffolding in language.
Oh,
so
definitely.
It's always building on it.
So that idea now that you carry, that it's okay. Hey, that's our life, right? The classroom. I'm surprised the kid hasn't run in right now. I mean, come on. Don't be surprised. We never know who, but that's the beauty of our world. The phone's going to ring. Like I can hear my phone ring in the background. I'm wondering who's calling me. Is it the other teachers that wanted to be here? I don't know. It could be my husband.
Probably my kids.
I don't know. It could be your kids, my kids. I don't know. It's so the idea of you having your designated time, and I really, and in regards to designated time, what is it that you would say is the difference between what you do in designated ELD as opposed to the rest of the day? I mean, is there anything that you would say that stands out?
Like in my class, definitely giving them opportunities to have that accountable talk conversations, Socratic seminars. They know that in ELD, they're not just going to come and sit down and not participate.
Because
they're active. They have to be active.
They have to, because in silence in ELD is deadly. And you're really talking about the whole concept of what English learners need, and that is, if you look at the 3 parts of our standards, during designated ELD time, they have to be talking. And so by doing seminars and Flipgrid, she's catching those conversations.
A lot of
she's analyzing
starters to get them going. But
and at our school, we're focusing highly on academic language and academic talk. So there's that accountable talk going throughout the day. And I know for Arcadia, as well as for me, since I have the levels 1 to 3, they need that conversation. They need to talk. They need to express themselves. And that's where they have the difficulties, expressing themselves to each other or using the appropriate vocabulary. So this is the time, ELD, and we use a big block of time. We go 40, 45 minutes.
Did you hear that? Yeah. 45 minutes.
And it's our first thing.
And it's our first thing in the morning.
Oh, I love that you guys said this. So first thing, is it school-wide?
ELD.
Well, for us, school-wide ELD is like mandatory. Everybody does it.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, we start at 8:10 and we go 45 minutes.
There you go. So
sometimes a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like in our Socratic seminars, I'm like, Irene, I need a little bit more time, and she's very flexible. So.
And you have to be when you're working, with somebody else. There's that flexibility and just compromising and working with each other and allowing both of us to melt our ideas together. So
the idea of trust, and it is hard.
And with that, Patty, one thing that I think even like our students, they know that we plan together because they're constantly seeing us like planning. And we don't treat our students like this is my class, this is your class. They know that we're doing this for all of us. That in anything, I mean, we know each other's students very well. And they, even when we do our data, we look at our grade level because we care.
Right.
Like, that's what we care. We're not being competitive and like, oh, how did my class do? No. We look at our data by our grade level, and, that I think that's, the kids see that and it translates.
It translates into them. So they know that wherever room they go to, they have to work just as hard than in your homeroom. Period. So
it's also really that relationship that you guys have together, and the idea that all your students is a key factor in what I know is really the idea of success for our students. So very fortunate that you guys have that, and the students are very lucky to have that. That you are both constant communication. So with that, I know that I want to show Clara's room because she's not like
too much.
And my room is just like hers.
Yes, we can go over there too. And the idea is that it's really, it's not and I'm going to take it back. It's not stuff. I know that it is what we call the living walls, and the idea of why every piece of paper, everything that is here,
There's
I
a
can
purpose.
see there's a purpose. The idea of store-bought things is not really your thing here. You know, I'll show you what I'm talking about, and the idea of what you teach and what you're catching, and that you're leaving it up for the students to see, because that's part of also that brain imprinting. And if we've learned something and we've seen it in a certain place, you know, even if it wasn't there, our minds, our brains, our bodies, our heads will actually turn to that place where we were learning. So I want to see
visual learning that you put in your head.
So let's see if they'll take us through. And any specific place you want to take us that you would say both of you can just jump in and say what it is that you have. All right. Let's see. Let's take it on the road.
How we launch our theme.
Yes, that's me. I can hear my phone.
I could hear mine too.
All right. We're going to go over here. Let me see.
So here, these are a couple themes for language arts. This is we kind of kept the idea of the focus wall that we used to have with Houghton Mifflin, and now that we have my perspectives, we kind of still have like our focus wall, so the kids know what we're learning about. So say we were doing the unit on childhood. And this is the essential question. What are some challenges and triumphs of growing up? And so that's what constantly, you know, we're asking our students. Sorry, the wind tore this up the other day. But we start with our inquiry chart and observation charts that will lead into their background, knowing like what is it that they already know, and what is it that we want them to get through the lesson.
What to know, yeah.
You know, they were created, so this was actually in poetry. So they, even with their team, they were able to create poems
on Google Slides.
Mm.
And this was a group effort, and they did it in groups of 4 and 5, and they had certain criteria that they had to do, and so they followed those criterias on each slide.
And this was done in Google Form.
Google Slides.
Google Docs.
Yeah,
Google Docs. And this, I know, is a GLAD strategy.
Yes, it is.
It is.
And so is this. The observation charts are also a GLAD strategy. And so we do this when we launch the unit to see what kind of vocabulary, what kind of sentences they can relate to the picture and make some kind of connection to their life or not, or to someone else's life. So this is what we usually do to launch our
keep
new
going.
theme.
Because I can imagine that you're constantly adding to what they know. Okay,
correct.
Got it. All right.
I'm going to go to, we have a major focus this year is math. And so what we're doing now is we do math talk, okay? And so this is how we launch our lesson. And it comes in various stages. We can either do a math talk where it's just like a basic routine, and we put it up there and we let the kids do mental math, or they can write stuff down and they could try to figure out any way possible they can figure out whatever the
different strategies
to answer that question. So sometimes it's just basic and it's going really quick. The other strategy we have is what we call a juicy task.
Juicy.
Yes. So this one is diving in a little deeper into the learning. And so we try to tie this in, the juicy task, into whatever lesson we're going to be teaching. So this is like a launch, and it could go as a lesson itself, or it can carry on the next day. And it's basically having the kids figure it out in different strategies. And then we come back, they pair share, and then we share as a group, and we write down all the different strategies that they can come up with.
So one thing that you guys said is, and I love the idea that it doesn't say math wall or math time, it says math talk. So how are you supporting your students with that talk that you said that you are needing to really work hard in ELD with? So what does it sound like during math time?
When it sounds like in math, okay, say we're starting with just an easy, let's say a routine. So we put the 335 over 10 and we just put it up there and we just have the kids do some mental math. So sort of it's like think time. So they do all that think time, and what are their time to share is when they go and explain their thinking. And as they explain their thinking, we will probe them with more questions, or maybe we'll have them give an answer, or maybe we'll have them stop before they give an answer and ask somebody else, what do you think they're going to do? And then on the table, each student has their own math talk stems here, so they can have something to reference to. And then as teachers, we have our own questions where we could make the routine go longer, we could dive in deeper and make it more talkable.
That is not only cute, but it is purposeful talk. It's that language that our students is really going to move them from the BICS to the CALP, that idea of academic language that they need.
And the thing that I do notice is as we started to do the math talk, it was very difficult for the students to express themselves. They weren't used to talking in that math vocabulary. So when we do this now, I always tell them, think about math words. Think about that math vocabulary. You're going to use the word variable or expression or an equation or exponent. So now they're learning those key terms.
And they're learning using it with one another.
In context.
In context.
So say, for instance, like with this one, we do have, to differentiate for our students, we do have different sets of answers that can go in here. And so say we will start them like this. And we give them the opportunity to select which set do they want to use. Knowing that it'll be a little bit difficult, you know, as the different stickies. But this is an excellent way, because we at the beginning, like even like our strongest math students would always start here, you know, but then they figure the answer, then they would go on into the next one. At the end, they would do all three. But it's funny how, like, at the beginning, they'd second guess themselves, and they would start with the easier ones. Now they go for, like, the challenging ones, you know?
So providing something like this and the practicing the conversations, they're gaining more confidence.
And also what I notice is giving the students the opportunity to have choices. When you give them choices, they're more willing to participate in more deeper thinking. That's what I'm noticing.
And so say here, you know, like the student, she chose to do it with the tape diagrams, you know, and then breaking it down. And then here he had a double number line.
Oh, so is this here? Oh, this is their different markers, so that's their work. Okay.
And so sometimes, like in the middle of like them explaining it, I'll stop and then I'll say, what do you think will be, this student's next step? And so then that's like, even though it's their, the other student thinking, you're giving opportunity for the rest to be part of this thinking.
Very good. That is true, because we want everyone to
feel like they're involved.
And you're holding everyone accountable. It's everyone's time to learn.
This is all part of the, I mean, we're just starting this, but it's all part of the CGI training. That it's been our focus.
Math has been our focus this year.
Oh,
But you know what? We do see that conceptualizing, deconstructing, doing all that, coming up with different ways to express an amount. That has really like showed how maybe like they were just, and at first they were just used to doing it. Oh, I can only do it now because we've been doing it so many times. Like they try to get creative. You know? They're not just sticking to the regular vertical, and you know, they're trying to come up with more creative ways. And they try to sometimes outdo each other, but you know, it's fun.
And it's important. We've just talked about this ourselves, that the idea that there are multiple ways to reach an answer, and that really you're celebrating what everybody's coming up with, and the idea of having them come up with different ideas. And the accountable talk is is key here.
And you know what, also too, because this is so new, I found out for myself that I needed to think of different ways, because the way I was taught sort of kept me in a house and said, okay, I learned this way, so this is the way I'm teaching you.
Yeah.
Even though we're thinking beyond that now I'm thinking, oh man, how did he come up with that? Right. That's pretty cool. I never thought of that. So we're learning as they're learning too.
I love this.
Sometimes to start a lesson, you know how you would go with examples?
Right.
We'll go to the back and look at work problems from the lesson and start off just by giving the problem.
So letting them think out what it could be.
And so sometimes they're like, oh no, they're not going to be able to do it. Yes. We surprise ourselves and
we're like, wow, they really did it. And then we come back and say, how did your student did that? And we'll show each other our chart. I'm like, wow, mine did this, this, and that. And then she'll say, oh, look, yours did it like that. So then we know, wow, now we know how to target, how to move forward, and then go into our lesson.
Again, that idea of valuable articulation with you both. And there, I'm going to read some little things I'm seeing here. It says, I love this idea. Girls, this is Greta saying que las va a copiar. Y I don't have any formal ELs, but in math language, they all need it, and that she wants to find ways for them to support it.
Then this would be good.
Okay. So we're going to continue.
Just
make sure
and even say this was low, mean, and medium. Still even for 6th graders, including chants, you know? You think, oh, they're 6th grade, they're not going to want to do that. They love it. And even during testing, I could hear them humming the little tone of mode, the most. Average is the mean. Median is the number in between.
Oh my goodness, that's too cute. They were doing that.
They were today when they were testing.
The idea, again, I love, she's color coding. And the idea of bringing in music is another key factor for all our students. I'm looking at the time and want to make sure that we are not going over, but I know that Miss Velazquez has to go.
Yes.
Because she's a busy teacher, and that's what she does. And that's what this whole thing is about. So what other piece that you say I need to show? Because I know there's lots, but we can also do that for another show. But definitely.
I guess something else, with our students, they are 6th graders, and
bye, Irene.
Bye.
Adios. At our school, we do for discipline, we do the 3 R's.
Yes.
And so, even giving them that opportunity to still, read them those books about filling up the bucket and being kind to each other. Because our 6th graders, sometimes they're not that kind to each other.
Well, it is a difficult age where they're trying to figure out if they're kids or teenagers or what.
So really owning their compliments. We have little buckets over there, and they just continuously
So what is this? What do they put in the bucket?
Well, this is an example, but just by having a great day. Oh, you're amazing. Thank you. You're smart.
And the idea that you're still having children's buckets.
We have points, and they get points, and then when we fill it to the level 1, we turn them in. And we get rewards with the principal and stuff. But, I think doing those type of things, even still in 6th grade, is important.
I'm going to go ahead and put it here. And I have something for you, Miss Clara. And now let's go back to our little table, because I'm going to end it there because we have better lighting and people could see where we ended our little conversation. I want to thank you, and I know that Irene was on the go, but what I'm taking from you here is that idea of how teachers really have to work together, and how valuable it is to have your partner in crime, Irene. The idea that you have these math talk frames, they're stuck. Let me show you. They're stuck actually, and she's gonna get mad that I'm showing you this, but look at that. Everybody has one, and they're on the table. I love the idea of how you guys are now.
And they have their little talking sticks, so that, when they're having their group conversations, they're respectfully, when they have a thought, they use their little talking sticks.
I think I need this for at home. I probably would want me to use it right now. I talk a lot. But I love that concept because then eventually, what happens with the kids that don't want to say anything?
They get invited from the other students. So like that's one of the things. If you see that someone's not getting airtime, you know, and you have to, you know, the polite thing is to invite them into the conversation.
I definitely think we should come back and showcase your kids in a Socratic seminar. And we'll work on that. Because I think that they're learning those, really the idea of the etiquette, right? Of talking to one another. And that'll be a definitely subject to go with in our next round. Math talk, take that with you. The idea of their processing is key. And I just appreciate that you guys both are doing such a great job. And thank you guys for inviting me. And I have something for her because I didn't mention that she talked about her R-FEPs. We talked about your threes. And within that group, we have some students that she knows that they're kind of like on the cusp of becoming our long-term English learners. And again, those students who are stuck at a certain level and couldn't pass the test at some point, or now the LPAC. And now, you know, she's providing that scaffold. And so with that, we'll talk more about LTELS. I'm actually going to give her this great book from my good reading library that I have. And that's Margarita Espinosa Calderon. I have heard her talk at GABA before and other places, and you know, love this book. It's about preventing our ELLs, our LTELS, which I know you are doing that, and so is Irene. And I thank you. And everybody who's on, again, I really appreciate this. Thank you for having that open mind and for leaving comments. I mean, that we are looking back, we're reading the comments. It's really important because it's a form of collaboration for us as well. And before we hang this little thing up, it says that, teach me something the internet can't. Woohoo! That's from Sam Philborn. And we'll be reading more as we go. As you're going to see my face in a second. So we're going to just end with that. Thanks again. And we're off because we got to go. We're busy people and
pick up the baby.
Adios. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Oh, I did it. If you end this letter, you'll be able to choose yes. I want to end.